Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to deploy a subnet into our virtual network. This way, we have an IP address space that can be used by our virtual machines. So, let's get started. So, as usual, let's take a peek at our Azure RM subnet resource here. It's got a very similar note here that we saw on our virtual network resource that indicated that these subnets can be deployed in line with the virtual network, but in our case and most other cases, it's better to deploy it separately from the virtual network. Now, as you can see here, it's actually listing our resource group and virtual network, which we've already done. So all we need to do is deploy the Azure RM subnet just like this. Now, as you can see, there are several arguments here. We're not going to use all of them. And if you continue scrolling, you've got all sorts of great little notes here, most of which do not pertain to us and this deployment. But again, it's very important to read those and understand what you might need to know for future deployments. All right, so now that we've taken a look at that, these are the following attributes that will be exported. ID name, resource group name, prefix, prefixes. And again, right now we don't need most of that, but some of this we're going to be reaching out to later. So anyway, let's get building. All right, so back in the terminal, we'll start a new resource, and that's going to be an Azure RM subnet, just like so. And we'll just call that mtc-subnet. Keep it nice and simple. And then the name, we'll just call this MTC subnet. But I will say that in future deployments, you might want to add a 1 or a random string to that. But in this case, we're going to still keep it simple. And then resource group name is what we need to supply second. And that's going to be our Azure RM resource group, which I'm going to tab to complete, .mtc-rg.name, just like so. Now after that, we need to provide a virtual network name, just like so. And that's going to be our virtual network, which is going to be Azure RM. And if you just scroll down here, you can see the virtual network. And of course, you can also see it and copy paste from right here if you'd like. Virtual network.mtc-vn. And we're going after the name here, which is MTC network, as you can see there. And we're just going to use name. So this name here references the MTC-network. Perfect. And then after that, we need to provide the address prefixes. And that, just like above, is actually going to be in a list, which means there are brackets on the side, and it can accept multiple arguments. Now, we're only going to use one prefix here, but of course, if you needed to provide multiple, you'd be able to. Generally speaking, if you see a plural name here for the argument, that's expecting a list, so you will be using these brackets. So that's going to be 10.123, and we'll just use .1.0/24, just like so. All right, so that's all we've got to do for this subnet. Let's go ahead and make sure that I coded everything out right. We'll run a Terraform FMT, which aligns some things for us. And then we're going to run a Terraform plan. I'll drag this up some. All right, 1 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. It looks like everything we asked for is there. The ID, of course, will be known after apply, just as it has been before. The name, MTC subnet. Resource group name, MTC resources. And virtual network name, MTC network. As you can see, those were populated just fine by referencing the name of these resources. All right, perfect. So go ahead and run a Terraform apply-auto approve. All right, apply complete. Everything is looking good. If we run a Terraform state list, we can see that our subnet.mtc subnet has now been deployed. And of course, you can also go to your Azure portal. I'll go home. Going to click into my MTC resources just like so. Then we'll click on the network. And within here, you can see subnets on the left. And there is our MTC subnet. All right, perfect. So that is all for this lesson. Go ahead and mark it complete. Come on back to the next one and let's continue building.